Welcome to this week's Week That Was. The highlight for me this week was being given the opportunity to present to the Taiwanese Academy of Banking and Finance, a collection of very senior internal auditors from banks based in Taiwan, along with members of the regulatory system in the country. Hosted by Standard Chartered Bank, and an opportunity to exchange views on what it means to operate an internal audit function in a multinational world. Key themes that came out, well, first of all, the obsession, perhaps, with regulators to hold banks to account in terms of delivering their internal audit plans. Per se, nothing wrong with that. But let's bear in mind that we live in a very dynamic world, a world where the risk perspective today could look very different in a week's time. And therefore, giving internal audit functions the ability to operate their audit planning process in an agile fashion is absolutely essential. But this is about trust. Regulators are concerned that audit functions are not meeting their commitments. Audit functions are concerned that regulators are perhaps not understanding their perspectives. So a degree of trust building needs to occur so that the planning process is as transparent as it possibly can be. We also touched on pressure from some regulators to avoid all forms of advisory internal audit work and to restrict audit work to assurance. Is that really wise? We talked a little bit about the focus on auditing third-party risk and outsourcing risk. I actually gave the example of how the tennis signal from the New York US Open final got to my television screen on Sunday night in North London, and how that signal passed through a plethora of wires, satellite dishes in the United States, across the North Atlantic, and so on. The point I was trying to make is that's an example of businesses relying on third parties, unknown third parties, to carry something that's very precious for them. Well, in the context of a bank, what's precious is payment transactions that are passing along third-party wires. Who audits, who controls those particular pieces of hardware and software? So something the banking industry really needs to get to grip with. Anyway, I'm off to Dubai to speak at CWR conference. I will be speaking on governance of ESG matters in a dynamic, risk, agile world. Look forward to meeting those of you that will be attending the conference in Dubai. Thank you very much for listening to me.